Hello and welcome to Antrix Media. Today, we're going to talk about one of the most exciting and nerve-wracking experiences in anyone's life, the first date. Whether you're meeting someone for the first time or finally getting together with that special someone, a first date can be both exciting and stressful. But don't worry, we've got you covered. In this video, we'll be sharing with you 15 awesome dating tips that will help you make the most out of your first date. So, let's get started. Tip number 1, don't talk about your ex. The first and most important tip is to never talk about your ex. This is a huge turn-off for most people, and it's not the kind of conversation you want to have on a first date. You want to focus on getting to know the person in front of you, not comparing them to someone from your past. So, leave your ex out of the conversation and focus on building a connection with your date. Tip number 2, don't be late. Being late is a major no-no on the first date. It shows a lack of respect for your date's time and can make them feel like you're not interested or invested in the date. So, make sure you're on time or even a little early. If you're running late, make sure to communicate with your date and let them know. It's better to be a little late than not show up at all. Tip number 3, dress appropriately. It's important to dress appropriately for your first date. You want to look your best, but you also want to make sure you're dressed appropriately for the occasion. If you're going to a fancy restaurant, wear something dressy. If you're going to a casual coffee shop, wear something casual. Dressing appropriately shows that you're thoughtful and respectful of the occasion. Tip number 4, be yourself. One of the most important things to remember on the first date is to be yourself. Don't try to be someone you're not or pretend to like things you don't. It's important to be honest and authentic with your date. This will help you build a genuine connection and ensure that you're both on the same page. Tip number 5, don't talk about money. Money is a sensitive topic for many people, and it's not something you want to bring up on a first date. Avoid talking about your salary, how much you spend on your outfit, or any other financial topics. Instead, focus on getting to know your date and building a connection. Tip number 6, be present. It's easy to get distracted on a first date, especially if you're nervous. But it's important to be present and focus on the person in front of you. Put your phone away and make eye contact. Listen actively and engage in the conversation. Being present shows that you're interested and invested in the date. Tip number 7, don't be negative. Negativity is a huge turn-off on a first date. Avoid complaining or being overly critical. Instead, focus on positive topics and keep the conversation upbeat. This will help you both feel more comfortable and relaxed. Tip number 8, don't talk about politics or religion. Politics and religion are both sensitive topics, and they're not something you want to bring up on a first date. These topics can be divisive and cause tension, especially if you have different views. Instead, focus on getting to know your date and finding common ground. Tip number 9, don't talk about your health issues. While it's important to be honest with your date, it's also important to avoid talking about any health issues you may have. These are personal and sensitive topics, and they can make your date feel uncomfortable. Instead, focus on lighter topics and getting to know each other. Tip number 10, don't drink too much. Drinking can help you relax and feel more comfortable on a first date, but it's important not to overdo it. Drinking too much can lead to embarrassing or inappropriate behavior, and it can also impair your judgment. Stick to 1 or 2 drinks and focus on getting to know your date. Tip number 11, listen to your date. Active listening is an important part of any conversation, and it's especially important on a first date. Make sure to listen to your date and ask questions. This will show that you're interested in what they have to say and help you build a connection. Tip number 12, be polite to your server. The way you treat others, especially your server, can say a lot about your character. Be polite and respectful to your server and show that you're a kind, considerate person. This will leave a positive impression on your date and make them more likely to want to see you again. Tip number 13, don't be too forward. While it's important to show interest in your date, it's also important not to be too forward. Avoid making any inappropriate comments or gestures, and make sure to respect your date's boundaries. This will help you build trust and respect, which are important foundations for any relationship. Tip number 14, follow up after the date. After the date, make sure to follow up with your date and let them know that you had a good time. This will show that you're interested in seeing them again and can help you build a connection. A simple text or message is all it takes to let them know that you're thinking of them. Tip number 15, have fun. Last but not least, don't forget to have fun. Dating can be stressful and nerve-wracking, but it can also be a lot of fun. Enjoy the experience and focus on getting to know your date. Remember, the goal of a first date is to have a good time and see if there's a connection. So, relax and enjoy the ride. Conclusion. And there you have it, 15 awesome dating tips that will help you make the most out of your first date. Remember to be yourself, be present, and focus on building a connection. Avoid sensitive topics, be polite and respectful, and follow up after the date. And most importantly, have fun. We hope these tips have been helpful, and we wish you all the best on your dating journey. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Antrix Media for more great content.